Top of form. In late autumn, the cool autumn rain falls softly, tapping on the glass curtain wall of the China World Trade Center, like crystal clear teardrops slowly rolling down the wall. I stood silently at the elevator exit on the top floor of Xinheng Group, my fingertips gripping the equity transfer agreement tightly. My knuckles, drained of color from the excessive force, turned bluish-white. The conference room door was ajar, and fragmented conversations drifted out from the crack. Today was an extraordinary board meeting of Xinheng Group, and I, Zhao Bei, as the company's co-founder, had almost been completely excluded from this meeting. President Zhao? Secretary Lu looked up and saw me, her face instantly turning pale, her voice flustered and helpless. You've come here? I hold 12% of the company's shares, making me the third largest shareholder. Why can't I come? I said calmly but confidently. Xiao Lu pursed her lips tightly, her eyes darting around and avoiding my gaze. It was General Manager Lin who instructed to tell you that you don't need to attend the meeting today. Mr. Lin, my wife, Lin Wanqing. I remained silent, raised my hand to push open the slightly ajar door, and stepped into the conference room. At the head of the long conference table sat Lin Wanqing, her sharply tailored black suit accentuating her cold and capable figure. Her long black hair was meticulously styled in a bun, exuding a strong and composed aura. The moment she caught sight of me, her brows furrowed sharply, her eyes a mixture of surprise and indifference, as if she had stumbled upon an irrelevant person who shouldn't be there. Who let him in? Lin Wanqing's voice wasn't loud, but it carried an extremely strong sense of oppression, instantly silencing all the soft noises in the room, and the entire conference room suddenly fell silent. I casually pulled out the chair next to me and sat down, slamming the agreement in my hand onto the table. I said in a deep voice, Lin Wanqing, you secretly diluted my 12% stake to 4%, and you also privately transferred 27% of the company's original shares to outsiders. You've caused such a big fuss. How could I not come here to ask you about the reasons in public? In the conference room, 7 or 8 directors looked at each other in pairs. Their expressions varied. Some pretended to check their phones, while others flipped through documents in their hands, feigning busyness. No one was willing to step forward and get involved in this public confrontation between Lin Wanqing and me. Lin Wanqing slowly stood up, placed her hands on the smooth conference table, and looked down at me with a domineering yet indifferent attitude. Zhao Bei, do you know why I deliberately stopped you from attending the meeting today? I remained silent and watched her quietly. Because you sitting here is a desecration of this conference room and the entire Xinheng Group. Her tone was icy and devoid of any warmth. In the 7 years since the company was founded, apart from the few core patents you produced in the early stages of the business, what else have you done for the company? Did you establish the market channels? Did you coordinate the daily management? Did you secure the multiple rounds of financing? Those patents were the core foundation of my business. The patents laid the foundation for the company's start. I never deny that. Lin Wanqing interrupted me directly, her tone becoming increasingly sharp. But after the foundation was laid, you completely washed your hands of it and became a hands-off manager. While I was out there working tirelessly to stabilize the company, you spent your days hiding in your study, engrossed in those fruitless experiments. Where were you when the company was on the verge of a cash flow crisis 3 times? Where were you when I was working late into the night, receiving 4 drips until 3 a.m.? She took a deep breath, glanced at all the directors present, and said in a firm and resolute tone, Ladies and gentlemen, today I formally propose a motion to remove Zhao Bei from his board seat and, at the same time, repurchase the remaining 4% of the company's shares held by him at the original share price. As soon as he finished speaking, the conference room erupted in a commotion, with everyone discussing the matter. A middle-aged director wearing gold-rimmed glasses raised his hand and spoke up to dissuade him. President Lin, this approach is probably not appropriate. President Zhao is, after all, a founding partner of the company and has made invaluable contributions. Founder? Lin Wanqing's lips curled into a cold, mocking smile. Does he deserve the title of founder? The patents he presented were the results of his work at the Research Institute. Strictly speaking, they didn't belong to him personally at all. If we really go to court, the company won't have to pay him a single penny. I stared intently at the woman who had been with me for 6 years, the wife I had spent every day with and treated with all my heart. and a sudden, bone-chilling sense of unfamiliarity and coldness welled up in my heart. Who did you transfer those 27% of the shares to? I heard my own voice was unusually calm, without the slightest ripple. Just then, the meeting room door was gently pushed open. A young man in his mid-20s walked slowly into the room. He was dressed in a well-fitting Armani suit, looking elegant and dignified. The Patek Philippe watch on his wrist was particularly eye-catching. His eyes were gentle and his smile was dazzling, making him look like a movie star. Brother Zhao, I apologize for the intrusion. I forgot to introduce myself beforehand. He walked calmly to Lin Wanqing's side, raised his hand, and gently patted her shoulder, his posture familiar and intimate. My name is Zhou Yang, and I am now the second largest shareholder of Xinheng Group, holding 27% of the company's shares. Lin Wanqing did not flinch at all, calmly letting his hand land on her shoulder. In that instant, I clearly heard something I had cherished for a long time shatter and collapse completely deep within my heart. So you guys, we started dating last March. Lin Wanqing's tone was calm and distant, as if she were reporting on an ordinary company matter. Zhou Yang graduated from Stanford University with an MBA. After returning to China, he worked in the investment banking industry for 2 years. His understanding and control of capital market operations far surpasses yours by more than 100 times. His resources, abilities, and network of contacts are all far superior to yours. So you gave him 27% of the company's shares? It's not a gift. Zhou Yang corrected gently with a slight smile. It's a reasonable grant. Wanqing believes that the value I've created for the company is fully worthy of this equity stake. I glanced around at the board members present. Not a single one of them spoke up or defended me. Some even had barely suppressed schadenfreude in their eyes. Clearly, they had known all along about this change in shareholding and this betrayal, but I had kept them in the dark. Zhao Bei, Lin Wanqing slowly sat down, her tone carrying a condescending air of condescension and pity. If you sign this repurchase agreement, you can leave with 50 million in a dignified manner and retain your last shred of dignity. If you insist on not signing, I have plenty of ways to make you end up with nothing and leave with nothing. 50 million? I chuckled softly, a mixture of absurdity and despair in my heart. The company is now valued at 2 billion, and my 4% stake is worth at least 80 million. You think you can just send me away for 50 million? Lin Wanqing looked at me as if I were an oblivious fool. That 80 million is just a paper value. It doesn't count. Zhao Bei, if you refuse to sign, I will immediately initiate the company's capital increase and share expansion process. Your remaining 4% stake will only be diluted further to less than 1%. At that point, you won't even get 50 million. Zhou Yang added from the side. Brother Zhao, a wise man submits to circumstances. You still have some connections in the tech circle. Wouldn't it be better to take 50 million back and start a small business? I stared into Lin Wanqing's eyes. Are you sure you want to do this? You don't deserve it, Lin Wanqing said, enunciating each word clearly. You don't deserve to sit in this position. You don't deserve to own these shares. You don't deserve to be the founder of Xinheng. From beginning to end, you've just been a lucky tech geek who relied on me to turn those worthless patents into money. Now, it's time for you to leave. The entire conference room was so quiet you could hear the raindrops falling. I picked up the equity transfer agreement and tore it up page by page, the scraps of paper fluttering onto the mahogany table. Zhao Bei, Lin Wanqing suddenly stood up. I will give you a new agreement. I stood up, but you will make me sign it, not the other way around. Zhou Yang laughed and said, Brother Zhao, haven't you figured out the situation yet? There are 12 people on the board of directors, 9 of whom are our people. Your shares have been diluted to 4%. What do you have to fight us with? I looked at the necklace around Lin Wanqing's neck. It was a gift I gave her for her 30th birthday. I spent 3 months carefully designing it, and I personally selected every diamond. She was still wearing it. This discovery disgusted me immensely. You'll regret this, I said. Lin Wanqing sneered. Regret? Regret marrying you back then? Zhao Bei, I feel disgusted every time I wake up and see the person next to me. I didn't say anything more, turned around and walked straight out. Zhou Yang's voice came from behind. Wanqing, ignore him. He's just a clown. The corridor was long, but my steps were steady and powerful. My phone vibrated. It was a text message. Mr. Zhao, Chairman Chun of Oceanwide Group has arrived in Beijing. He hopes to meet with you tonight at 7 p.m. I deleted the message and then stepped into the elevator. As the elevator doors closed, I saw Lin Wanqing chatting and laughing with Zhou Yang inside the glass wall of the conference room. Zhou Yang's hand was on her waist, and their intimate posture made them look like a real couple. After 6 years of marriage and owning 27% of the shares, it turned out to be a meticulously planned betrayal. The elevator descended, and the number jumped from 40 to 1. I took out my phone and dialed the number. Attorney Han. This is Zhao Bei. Mr. Zhao, are you sure? It's confirmed. I looked at my reflection in the elevator mirror. My calm is chilling. I'll sign the licensing agreement for 36 core patents tonight. Okay, I'll arrange it right away. The elevator arrived on the first floor. The doors opened, and people were coming and going in the lobby. But no one noticed me. I walked out of the China World Trade Center, and the rain was still falling. Looking up, the 40th floor was brightly lit, like daytime, where my wife and her lover were sitting, celebrating a victory. I lowered my head and lit a cigarette. Lin Wanqing, do you think that 27% of the shares is Zhou Yang's biggest gain? You're wrong. Tonight, you will understand what a true breakdown is. 1. Around 3 p.m., I was in a coffee shop on Financial Street, and sitting across from me was Qin Song, the legal director of Oceanwide Group. She was a shrewd and capable woman in her 40s, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, with a stack of documents in front of her. President Zhao, Chairman Qin's idea is that if all 36 patents can be licensed to Oceanwide, we are willing to pay 120 million yuan in licensing fees every year, sign a 5-year contract, and pay the fees for the first 3 years in one lump sum. Qin Song pushed a letter of intent over. I opened it and examined it line by line. 120 million a year. That's 600 million in 5 years. Oceanwide's offer isn't low, but I know the value of these patents is far more than that. I need to change a few clauses. I took out a pen and made a few marks on the document. First, the scope of authorization is changed to global exclusivity, but Oceanwide has the right to reauthorize, with a revenue split of 70/30ths. Second, Xinheng Group's existing authorization is terminated immediately, and Xinheng must cease using all related technologies within 30 days. Third, if Xinheng continues to use the technology, the penalty for breach of contract for each patent will be 500.000 per day. Qin Song's eyes lit up. President Zhao, what is this? I want to sever the foundation of Xinheng. I took a sip of coffee. The bitterness was just right. Qin Song picked up the phone and went out. 5 minutes later, he returned, his expression having changed from professional politeness to genuine excitement. Chairman Qin said there's no problem. He will personally sign the contract with you tonight. I nodded and turned to the next page. Add another clause. Xinheng's shareholders Lin Wanqing and Zhou Yang, as well as their affiliates, shall never obtain any authorization from Panhai. Qin Song was taken aback for a moment, then laughed and said, President Zhao, are you trying to eliminate the root of the problem? They started it. Qin Song marked the document and closed the folder. President Zhao, may I ask a question? You've been keeping these patents hidden all this time, only granting Xinheng the right to use them. But the ownership has always been in your personal hands. Did you foresee this day coming? The coffee shop door opened, and a tall, robust man in his 50s walked in, with a full head of silver hair. His presence was as imposing as a lion. All the patrons in the coffee shop couldn't help but turn their heads. Chen Shanha, chairman of Oceanwide Holdings Group, a true godfather figure in China's new energy industry, was appearing in a place like this. Zhao Bei, Chen Shanha strode over and slapped me on the shoulder. I've finally waited for you to give in. I stood up and shook hands with him, but he pulled me into his arms. Uncle Chen, you finally got it. You fucking. Chen Shanha's voice was so loud that the whole coffee shop could hear it. How many times have I told you that your 36 patents are the key to the new energy industry? Whoever gets them can control the entire industry. But you insisted on getting tied to that lousy Xinheng company, wasting 3 years of your life. I smiled wryly. Back then, Lin Wanqing was, never mind. I won't talk about it. Chen Shanha sat down, his eyes sharpening. I heard everything from Qin Song. She kicked you out of the board of directors? Almost. And she even gave 27% of the shares to her lover? Chen Shanha sneered. This Lin Wanqing is shrewd in business, but she's completely blind when it comes to technology. She thought she could keep your patents under her control forever. But she didn't know that those patent licensing agreements contained a founder's moral rights clause. As long as you're alive, you have the right to unilaterally terminate the license. Qin Song added from the side. President Zhao's design back then was quite ingenious. He set the term of the patent usage right to be signed annually, and the condition for renewal each year was mutual agreement. This means that as long as President Zhao does not agree, Xinheng will have no technology to use next year. Chen Shanhe leaned back in his chair, laughing heartily. Zhao Bei, you little rascal. You seem honest, but you're really ruthless. 3 years. You endured it for a full 3 years. It's not about enduring. I corrected. It's about waiting. Wait for the right moment. Wait for them to make the first move. Wait for them to expose all their weaknesses. Chen Shanhe's smile faded. Then tonight, shall we teach them a lesson? Good. At 6:30 p.m., I sat in the conference room of Oceanwide Group's Beijing headquarters, with 3 documents in front of me. The first agreement, a global exclusive licensing agreement for 36 patents, was signed by Oceanwide Group for 480 million renminbi and took effect immediately upon signing. The second notice is a termination notice, stating that all patent usage authorizations for Xinheng Group will officially terminate at 2400 hours tonight. The third document was a lawyer's letter stating that if Xinheng continues to use the relevant technology after the termination of the authorization, Panhai will file a lawsuit on my behalf, seeking 500.000 renminbi in damages per patent per day. Qin Song neatly arranged the 3 documents and pushed them in front of Chen Shanhe. Chen Shanhe didn't even look at them, signed them directly, and then handed me the pen. Sign it, child. I picked up the pen, my hand as steady as a mountain. Many images flashed through my mind. The day I married Lin Wanqing, her in her white wedding dress. The day the company went public, her raising her glass in a toast. And this morning, her sitting in the conference room, looking at me as if I were trash. I signed my name. Chen Shanhe carefully put away the first agreement, picked up the second one, and called his secretary, fax it to the legal department of Xinheng Group, and copy Lin Wanqing and Zhou Yang. The secretary left. Qin Song opened his laptop and connected it to the large screen in the conference room. President Zhao, I've connected to Xinheng's surveillance system. Would you like to take a look? I nodded. The large screen displayed an image of the 40th floor of Xinheng Group, Lin Wanqing's office. She was sitting on the sofa facing Zhou Yang, and the two of them were holding wine glasses, looking quite happy. They're celebrating, Qin Song said. It's too early to celebrate. Chen Shanhe sneered. In the scene, a secretary knocks and enters, handing over a document. Lin Wanqing takes it, casually flips through it, and her expression changes drastically in a fraction of a second. She suddenly stood up and spilled red wine all over the table. Zhou Yang leaned closer to take a look, and the smile on his face instantly froze, then turned into astonishment, and then into fear. Lin Wanqing picked up her phone and started dialing frantically. My phone rang. It was Lin Wanqing calling. I did not answer the call. She dialed again. I still haven't answered. The third time, the fourth time, the fifth time. Chen Shanhe laughed and said. She panicked. I stared at Lin Wanqing on the screen. Her hair was disheveled, and her makeup couldn't hide her hysterical panic. She paced back and forth in the office, continuing to make phone calls, while Zhou Yang stood beside her, his face as white as paper. My phone rang for the 11th time. I answered the phone. Zhao Bei, have you gone mad? Lin Wanqing's voice was sharp as a knife. You're terminating the license? Do you know that all of Xinheng's product lines rely on your patents? Without your technology, Xinheng will be nothing but an empty shell tomorrow. I understand. You knew this all along, yet you still did it. You're planning to bankrupt the company, aren't you? Lin Wanqing, I said calmly. This morning you said I wasn't good enough. Now, who do you think is unworthy? There was silence on the other end of the phone. You have 6 hours left. I said, the authorization will officially terminate at midnight tonight. If you don't want the company to close down, transfer your 27% stake back, and then sign a resignation agreement yourself. Are you threatening me? I'm giving you the choice. Lin Wanqing's voice suddenly lowered, carrying a fear I had never heard before. Zhao Bei, don't go too far. We can talk. We can talk about anything. Please renew the authorization, and we can renegotiate the shareholding issue. No need for discussion. I said. I have already stated the conditions. 26% of the shares will be transferred to my name. You will resign, and Zhou Yang will leave Xingheng. That's absolutely impossible. Then there's nothing to discuss. I hung up the phone. On the screen, Lin Wanqing threw her phone on the ground, shattering the screen into pieces. Zhou Yang tried to comfort her, but she slapped him away. Qin Song adjusted his glasses. President Zhao, do you think she will agree? No. I took a sip of water. But she'll come up with another way. Chen Shana stood up and patted my shoulder. Zhao Bei, no matter what method she uses, I'm on your side. Panhai's legal team is on standby tonight. Thank you. Uncle Chen, what are you thanking me for? Chen Shana smiled. I should be thanking you. You gave Oceanwide a golden key to unlock the new energy market. I stared at Lin Wanqing, who was still raging on the screen, feeling no pleasure, only a profound calm. This struggle has only just begun. 2. Around 9 p.m., Chen Shanha and I had a simple dinner at the headquarters of Oceanwide Holdings. At the dinner table, Chen Shanha talked about his past entrepreneurial experiences, mentioning how he was betrayed by his partners, abandoned by investors, and besieged by competitors. He spoke calmly, as if he were telling someone else's story. Zhao Bei, do you know what the most crucial point is in doing business? He put down his chopsticks and looked at me seriously. What is it? Never reveal your hand to anyone. Chen Shana said, you've done a great job in that regard. You've kept those 36 patents a secret for 7 years. Even your wife doesn't know how much wealth you actually have. I didn't say anything. In fact, Lin Wanqing never inquired about my technical matters. In her eyes, I was just a bookworm who could write code and do experiments. My work was not as important as her business negotiations, not as exciting as her capital operations, and not even as valuable as her attending a dinner party. She felt I wasn't good enough for her. The word matched is probably the most accurate assessment she could give of me. My phone vibrated. It was a text message from an unknown number. Zhao Bei, this is Zhou Yang. I'd like to talk to you. I showed my phone to Chen Shanha. Chen Shanha smiled dismissively. This kid's pretty clever. He knew to contact you. I didn't reply and put my phone face down on the table. Half an hour later, my phone vibrated again. This time it was Lin Wanqing's mother, my former mother-in-law. Songmei, Xiao Zhao, what's going on between you and Wanqing? I just heard her say you're trying to ruin the company. Xiao Zhao, your husband and wife. Can't you talk things out? Mom, don't worry about this. I've called her mom for 7 years. And today is the last time. Can I ignore this? Wanqing said she's going crazy with worry. Xiao Zhao, can't you just give in a little? You know Wanqing's temper. She's just stubborn but soft-hearted. Mom, I interrupted her. Did you know that she gave 27% of the shares to her lover? You know, I said. Xiao Zhao, Wanqing did something inappropriate. But, no buts. I said, please tell her for me that I've already stated my conditions. If she doesn't agree, then there's no point in talking. I hung up the phone and blacklisted Song Mei's number. Chen Shanha looked at me and sighed. Your mother-in-law was also tricked by her daughter. She always knew. I said, she always knew that Lin Wanqing was having an affair. But she never told me. Then it's better not to acknowledge this mother. I nodded, picked up my chopsticks, and continued eating. At 10:30 p.m., I returned to my apartment on the East 3rd Ring Road. I bought this apartment before I got married, and the property certificate is only in my name. It is the only thing I have owned entirely in the past 7 years. The apartment is small, 120 square meters, and simply decorated. The study occupies 1/3 of the space, with bookshelves on all 4 walls. However, the bookshelves are not filled with books, but with lab notebooks, technical drawings, and patent documents. I turned on my computer and logged into Xingheng's OA system. My account hadn't been canceled yet, so it seemed Lin Wanqing hadn't had time to deal with it. A document in the system caught my attention, the Xingheng Group Core Technology Dependence Assessment Report, issued 3 days prior. I opened it and quickly skimmed through it. The report's conclusions were clear. 92% of the technology in Xingheng Group's existing product line either directly or indirectly relies on my 36 patents. Once the licensing agreement terminates, Xingheng will face the following situation. Production halted. All product lines could no longer continue production because the core algorithms and processes were covered by patents. Customer default. Xingheng currently has 47 major customer contracts in progress. each of which contains a continuous technology supply clause. If the technology is interrupted, Shengheng will have to pay huge penalties for breach of contract. Capital shortage. Shengheng is currently negotiating its Series C financing round, and the core due diligence project for investors is technology autonomy. Once the patent licensing terminates, this round of financing will fail directly. Employee turnover. The core technology team will be the first to know the news. And at that time, a large number of key employees will leave, and Shengheng's technical capabilities will completely collapse within 3 months. I closed the report and leaned back in my chair. Lin Wanqing wasn't unaware of how important my patent was. She just assumed I would continue to endure it. She thought I was a cowardly man who couldn't live without her, a man who couldn't survive without her. She was wrong. My phone rang again. This time it was a landline number. I answered the call. Zhao Bei. Lin Wanqing's voice came through, hoarse and raspy, as if she had cried many times. Speak. I'm downstairs. I walked to the window and looked down. In the parking lot below the apartment building, there was a black Mercedes parked with its headlights still on. What do you want to do? I want to go upstairs and talk to you. Lin Wanqing's voice trembled. Zhao Bei, I beg you, please let me go upstairs. I paused for a few seconds, then said, okay. 5 minutes later, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I saw Lin Wanqing standing there, her hair disheveled, her eyes red and swollen, her makeup ruined, and black eyeliner running down her face with her tears. She looked extremely disheveled. There was a suitcase at her feet. What do you want to do? I asked. Lin Wanqing looked up at me, her lips trembling several times before she managed to squeeze out a sentence. Zhao Bei. I was wrong. I leaned against the door frame and didn't say a word. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Tears streamed down her face again. I shouldn't have been with Zhou Yang. I shouldn't have given him the shares. I shouldn't have said those things about you at the board meeting. Zhao Bei, give me a chance. Let's start over. Okay. I looked down at the suitcase at her feet. What does this mean? I've moved out. Lin Wanqing wiped away her tears. I broke up with Zhou Yang and moved out of his house. Zhao Bei, let's start over. You withdraw the termination authorization. I'll transfer the shares back, and we'll live a good life together. Okay. I gazed into her eyes. Those eyes held tears, pleading, and fear, but no love. I see it all clearly. There's not a trace of love in it. Lin Wanqing, I said, you moved out of Zhou Yang's house not because you wanted to start over with me, but because you understood that if you didn't, you would lose everything. That's not how it is. I remember every word you said at the board meeting. I interrupted her. You said you weren't worthy. You said you felt disgusted every morning when you woke up and saw me. These words can't be erased by a good cry. Lin Wanqing's lips trembled. Zhao Bei, I only said those things in anger. When Zhou Yang put his hand on your waist, you didn't pull away. I said, when you declared to everyone that I was unworthy, you didn't consider the consequences. When you gave 27% of the shares to an outsider and kicked me out of the board of directors, you didn't expect things to turn out this way, did you? Lin Wanqing finally broke down, squatting on the ground and crying loudly. I looked at her, feeling nothing at all. You can go now? I said. Zhao Bei. Lin Wanqing suddenly stood up and grabbed my arm. You can't do this to me. We've been married for 6 years. 6 years. How can you be so heartless? Me? Heartless? I laughed, laughing until tears almost welled up in my eyes. Lin Wanqing, this morning at the board meeting, when you said you weren't worthy, why didn't you mention 6 years? When you said you felt nauseous every morning when you woke up, why didn't you mention 6 years? Lin Wanqing was stunned. I gently removed her hand from my arm. I've already stated the conditions. 26% of the shares will be transferred to my name. You resign, and Zhou Yang will be kicked out of Shengheng. I said, you have less than 2 hours. If you don't agree before midnight, the authorization will be permanently terminated. Permanently? Lin Wanqing's face turned deathly pale. Yes, permanently. I said, Oceanwide's licensing agreement is for 5 years, and I will renew it when it expires. Shengheng will never be able to use my technology again in his lifetime. Lin Wanqing took 2 steps back, as if she had been punched hard. Zhao Bei, you can't. I can, I said, and I have already done so. I closed the door. Outside the door, Lin Wanqing began pounding on it frantically, her voice so shrill it seemed to tear the entire hallway apart. Zhao Bei, Zhao Bei. Open the door. You can't do this. We're husband and wife. You can't do this to me. I leaned against the door and closed my eyes. Couple? When she said I wasn't good enough for her, how could she have thought of us being husband and wife? When she gave the shares to her lover, how could she have imagined that we were husband and wife? When she publicly humiliated me at the board meeting, how could she have imagined that we were husband and wife? The knocking at the door gradually subsided, turning into sobbing, followed by footsteps, and then the sound of the elevator. She left. I went to my study, turned on my computer, and saw an email from Qin Song, President Zhao. Xinheng's legal department just contacted me. They want to postpone the termination of the authorization, and Lin Wanqing is willing to accept all your conditions. But I must remind you, this is very likely a delaying tactic. I replied, no extensions accepted. The event will end precisely at 2400 hours. Qin Song replied instantly, understood. I glanced at the time in the bottom right corner of the computer screen. 23:47. 13 minutes remaining. 3. At 11:52 p.m. My phone started vibrating violently. First, it was Xinheng's legal director who called, then several directors, then an investor I didn't recognize, and finally a reporter. Who knows how the reporter got the information? There are no secrets in this industry. I didn't answer a single call. At 11:55 p.m., Zhou Yang sent me a long WeChat message, which I quickly glanced at. Brother Zhao, I know I did something wrong, but I truly love Wanqing. I can give up my shares, and I can give Wanqing to you. Please extend the authorization, and we can discuss this further. Xinheng doesn't belong to you alone. Hundreds of employees depend on the company for their livelihood. You can't be so selfish. I did not reply, but saved a screenshot of the WeChat message. Give it to me? It's as if Lin Wanqing belongs to him. It's as if feelings are something that can be traded. At 11:58 p.m., Lin Wanqing sent her last voice message. Her voice so hoarse it was almost inaudible. Zhao Bei. I agree. I'll transfer 26% of the shares to you. I'll resign, and Zhou Yang will leave. Please renew the authorization. I beg you. I did not respond. At 11:59 p.m., I picked up my phone and sent Qin Song 3 words, execute it. At midnight, Qin Song replied, executed. The authorization of 36 patents to Xinheng Group will be officially terminated at midnight on November 15, 2024. At the same moment, I received an automatic notification from the Xinheng OA system in my email. Your account has been disabled by the administrator. Lin Wanqing finally remembered to ban my account. It's too late. The next morning at 8 o'clock, I got up, washed up, made a cup of coffee, and sat on the balcony to watch the news. The headline in the financial section reads, Xinheng Group's core technology has been disrupted, and its patent licensing is suspected to have been terminated. Its stock price plummeted 34% at the opening. Article 2. Xinheng Group suspends trading urgently. Lin Wanqing sends internal letter stating technical issues are being resolved. Article 3. Sources familiar with the matter. 92% of Xinheng's products rely on a single technology source. Termination of the license could lead to the company's shutdown. I took a sip of my coffee and continued scrolling down. The comments section has exploded. Is Xinheng going to fail? Its core technology actually belongs to someone else? I heard that the founders were a husband and wife. The wife kicked the husband out of the company, and the husband revoked the patent in a fit of anger. Really? That's so melodramatic. It's true. My friend works at Xinheng and said that the company's senior management had a meeting all night last night, and Lin Wanqing cried all night. I put down my phone and looked out the window at the rising sun. Today is a nice day. At 9 o'clock, Qin Song called, President Zhao. The board of directors of Xinheng wants to talk to you. Lin Wanqing has agreed to all your conditions. The 26% share transfer agreement is ready. Her resignation letter is written, and Zhou Yang's resignation procedures are being processed. And then, I asked, then they want you to reinstate the authorization. It can't be restored. I said, the license has already been granted to Oceanwide, exclusively worldwide. If Xinheng wants to use my technology, they'll have to talk to Oceanwide. Qin Song was silent for 2 seconds, then laughed, President Zhao. That was a ruthless move of yours. It's not that I'm ruthless. I said, they attacked first. What does Chairman Chen mean by Xinheng coming to talk to Pan Hai? What did Uncle Chen say? Chairman Chen said that Pan Hai could talk to Xinheng. But the conditions remained the same. Lin Wanqing and Zhou Yang were never allowed to participate in Shengheng's business affairs. And Shengheng had to pay an annual authorization fee of 240 million yuan, which was twice the original amount. I did the math, and Shengheng's net profit last year was 310 million. If the licensing fee increases to 240 million, then Shengheng will only have 70 million in profit left, which is not enough to cover interest and operating costs. Can Shengheng accept this? No, Qin Song said. That's why they want you to step in and discuss lowering the price with Chairman Chen. No reduction. I replied. Qin Song laughed again. President Zhao, I've noticed that you're a very decisive person. Attorney Qin, I said, do you know why I've always kept the patent ownership in my own hands and not given it to Shengheng? Why? 7 years ago, when the company was first established, Lin Wanqing asked me to transfer all the patents to the company's name. And I said no. She asked me why, and I said that this was my bottom line. She got angry at the time and said that I didn't trust her. I paused for a moment, then continued. Now you understand why I don't trust her. Qin Song was silent for a while on the other end of the phone, and then said, Mr. Zhao, to be honest, I've been an intellectual property lawyer for 20 years. And there aren't many people like you who can distinguish between ownership and management rights so clearly, because I've seen too many examples of people being cheated by their business partners. I said, my dad was cheated by his business partner. He lost his company, his house, and eventually died depressed. I've known since I was a child that trust is the least valuable thing in business partnerships. So you don't even trust your wife? As it turns out, I was right not to believe it. After hanging up the phone, I turned on my phone and saw a post Lin Wanqing had made on WeChat Moments at 3 a.m., consisting of just one sentence. I thought I was the hunter, but it turns out I was the prey. The accompanying photo was of an empty office, with a framed picture on her desk, a photo of us from our wedding. Looking at that photo, I felt a pang in my heart, just for a moment. Then I scrolled away from that post on my WeChat Moments. At 2 p.m., I received a package containing a formal letter from the board of directors of Shengheng, along with an equity transfer agreement, Lin Wanqing's resignation letter, and Zhou Yang's certificate of termination of employment. The equity transfer agreement clearly states that Lin Wanqing will transfer her 26% stake in Shengheng Group to Zhao Bei free of charge. After the transfer, Zhao Bei will hold 30% of Shengheng's shares, becoming the largest shareholder. I turned to the last page, where Lin Wanqing had already signed her name. The handwriting was so messy it seemed to be trembling. I didn't sign it. Qin Song called and asked, did you receive the agreement? Why aren't you signing it? I'm thinking about a problem. I said, what's the problem? What would I do with 30% of the shares? 92% of Shengheng's technology belongs to me. Without my authorization, Shengheng is just an empty shell. What would I do with shares in an empty shell company? Qin Song gasped. President Zhao, you wouldn't be thinking of. Help me draft a new agreement. I said, all shares of Shengheng Group will be transferred to me free of charge. Lin Wanqing, Zhou Yang, and all other shareholders will withdraw. All of them. Qin Song's voice changed. President Zhao, are you planning to take over the entire Shengheng Group? It wasn't me who took over voluntarily. I said, they gave it to me without asking. When Lin Wanqing gave Zhou Yang 27% of the shares, they had already handed the company over to me. However, the other shareholders would disagree. They will agree. I said, go and tell them that if they don't sign, Shengheng will go bankrupt. If they sign, I will at least leave some compensation for the shareholders. Let them decide for themselves. Qin Song fell silent again, this time for a long time. Mr. Zhao, I realize I underestimated you. He finally said, I thought you were just a tech geek who got bullied. But I didn't expect you to be such a formidable person. Attorney Qin, I said, tech geeks can be far more terrifying than businessmen when they get ruthless. Because businessmen are after money, while tech geeks seek justice. Okay, I'll draft the agreement this afternoon. By the way, let me add one more clause. I said, Lin Wanqing's share transfer agreement stipulates that she may not engage in any competitive business related to Shengheng or Panhai in any form or industry. The term is for life. Lifetime. Lifetime. Qin Song sighed. President Zhao, you're driving her to the brink of despair. When she publicly humiliated me at the board meeting, I never expected this day to come. I said, when she told me I wasn't good enough, I never expected this day to come. When she put her hand on Zhou Yang's waist. I never expected this day to come. I paused for a moment, then continued. Now, she should understand. 4. Lin Wanqing appeared at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This time, she didn't call ahead. She just knocked on my door. When I opened it, she stood there, wearing a black trench coat, her face ashen, with deep dark circles under her eyes. She wasn't wearing makeup, and her hair was casually tied back, making her look as if she had aged 10 years. May I come in? Her voice was extremely soft. I stepped aside to let her into the house. She stepped into the living room, looked around, and her eyes held an inexplicable sense of unfamiliarity. This was her first time in my apartment. Married for 6 years, she had never set foot here before. She said the place was small and remote, not befitting her status. Sit down, I said, pointing to the sofa. She sat down, clasped her hands on her knees, her knuckles turning white from gripping them so tightly. Zhao Bei, do you want the whole of Xinheng? She looked up at me, her eyes devoid of tears, only filled with empty despair. That's right. What can you give me? I will buy back your shares at the original price, which will bring in about 8 million. I said, your house and car are yours. I won't touch them. That's all. 8 million? Lin Wanqing laughed, a laugh more painful than a grimace. Zhao Bei, Xinheng is valued at 2 billion, and you only give me 8 million? The valuation is illusory. I retorted to her exactly what she said at the board meeting yesterday. Besides, without my technology, Xinheng is worthless. Lin Wanqing closed her eyes for a moment, and when she opened them again, there was something else in her eyes, hatred. You hate me, she said. I don't hate you. I said, I just don't love you anymore. These words were like a sharp blade, causing her more pain than any threat she had ever heard. Lin Wanqing's lips began to tremble, and tears finally streamed down her face, silently falling drop by drop onto her trench coat. Zhao Bei, her voice trembled. Can't we really get back together? I gazed at this woman, the woman I had shared a bed with for 6 years, and countless images flashed through my mind. On her wedding night, she wore a red cheongsam and laughed like a child. When she was pregnant for the first time, we went to the hospital for an ultrasound. She held my hand tightly, her palms sweating with nervousness. The day she miscarried, she cried in the operating room, and I shed tears in the corridor. When the company's cash flow dried up, she didn't sleep for 3 days and was hospitalized with a stomach hemorrhage. The last time we had dinner together was the night she was with Zhou Yang. She lied to me and said she was going to meet a client. The last time we kissed was 3 weeks ago. She kissed my cheek and said, honey, I'm leaving now. Then she went to Zhou Yang's house. No, I said. Lin Wanqing stood up, swayed slightly, and steadied herself by holding onto the sofa armrest. Okay, she said, her voice suddenly becoming extremely calm. So calm that it didn't sound like someone who had just lost everything. I'll sign. She took a pen out of her bag, placed it on the table, and waited for me to bring the agreement over. I went into the study and took out the agreement Qin Song had brought that afternoon. It was 47 pages long, and every clause was clearly written. I placed the agreement in front of her, turned to the last page, and pointed to the signature. Here. Lin Wanqing picked up the pen, her hand trembling violently. She put the pen down, took 3 deep breaths, and then picked it up again. Zhao Bei, can I ask you a question? Ask. Aside from the license granted to Oceanwide, do you have any other plans for those 36 patents? I looked at her without saying a word. How many things have you been hiding from me? Lin Wanqing's voice carried a hint of self-mockery. It's been 7 years, and I still have no idea what you've been busy with. I thought you were just messing around in your study, and I thought your experiments were just to pass the time. Now that I think about it, I was such an idiot. You're not stupid, I said. You just never thought of trying to understand me. These words were like a needle, pricking Lin Wanqing and making her tremble all over. Every time you come back from a business trip, you bring me a gift, I said, but you never know what I desire most. Every time you're at the board meeting, you talk about expanding the scale, raising funds, and going public, but you never know what Xinheng's most valuable asset is. Those patents, Lin Wanqing said. No, I said, it's me. The most valuable thing about Xinheng is me. Those patents can be rewritten, and the technology can be developed again. But you can't treat me as a tool that can be used and then discarded. Lin Wanqing finally signed the papers, signing every single page. By the time she finished the last page, Her hand was shaking so badly she could barely hold the pen. She put down her pen, stood up, and looked at me. Zhao Bei, she said, the biggest mistake I ever made in my life wasn't being with Zhou Yang. What is that? I've always felt you weren't good enough for me. Tears streamed down her face again. I felt your skills were worthless. Your work was meaningless. And you couldn't live without me. I felt you weren't good enough for me. Now I understand. She smiled, tears streaming down her cheeks to the corners of her mouth. I'm not worthy. She turned and left, pausing at the door but not looking back. Zhao Bei, I wish you happiness. The door closed. I stood there, listening to the footsteps in the corridor gradually fade away and then disappear. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Qin Song. Has the agreement been signed? I replied, signed. Have all of Xingheng's shareholders signed? Everyone signed it, including Zhou Yang. Qin Song then sent another message. Zhou Yang cursed at you when he signed it. Want to know what he cursed at? In no mood. He said you are a wolf in sheep's clothing. I looked at the message and smiled. A wolf in sheep's clothing? Perhaps, but in the business world, the sheep are destined to be eaten. Lin Wanqing taught me this lesson, a lesson that took me 7 years to learn. At 8 o'clock in the evening, I sat alone on the balcony, with a bottle of red wine and 2 glasses on the coffee table in front of me. I picked up the bottle and poured 2 glasses. 1 cup is placed opposite me, and the other is held in my hand. Dad, I said to the air, you were cheated by your partner back then. You lost the company, the house, everything. When you left, you told me not to do business, saying that this industry was too dirty. I took a sip of wine. I didn't listen to you. I did it, and I did it cleaner than anyone else. My skills are my weapons, and anyone who tries to take them will pay the price. I looked at the untouched glass of red wine across from me and fell silent for a long time. Lin Wanqing said, I'm not qualified. Dad, do you think I am qualified? Naturally, there will be no response. A night breeze blew in, bringing a chill. I took out my phone and opened Xingheng's internal group chat. The group was already buzzing with activity. Messages were scrolling by extremely quickly, and more than 100 employees were discussing the company's future direction. I heard that the company was completely acquired by President Zhao. Is it true or false? Wasn't President Zhao excluded? What's the point of queuing? They've already bought the entire company. So, don't mess with tech geeks. Mr. Lin is in big trouble now. He's lost all his shares. She brought this on herself. Who else can she blame? I closed the group chat and opened my chat history with Lin Wanqing. The last message was still the voice message she sent in the early hours of the morning. I agree. I will transfer 26% of the shares to you. I will resign, and Zhou Yang will leave. Please extend the authorization. I beg you. I did not reply. I deleted this chat history. Then I opened my notes app and wrote down a sentence. I am not qualified. I will make everyone remember these 3 words and see who is truly unqualified. 5. 3 days later, Xingheng Group held an extraordinary general meeting of shareholders. This is my first time returning here since being ousted from the board. The meeting room is still the same meeting room. The long table is still the same long table, but the people sitting on it have changed. I took my seat in the main seat. To my right is Qin Song, who is here on behalf of the Pan-Ocean Group. To my left is the representative sent by Chen Shana, a professional manager in his 40s surnamed Liu, who is here specifically to assist me in reorganizing Xingheng. Sitting opposite them were Xingheng's original shareholders, a total of 9 people, each with a grim expression. They had been forced to sign the share transfer agreement, receiving only 1/3 of the original share value as compensation, and in the form of deferred payment. In other words, they were told to owe it to Xingheng until it became profitable. Lin Wanqing was not present. Zhou Yang didn't come either. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, my voice not loud, but the entire conference room was as quiet as a library. I have invited you all here today to announce a few things. No one said a word. Firstly, Xingheng Group will change its name to Beiheng Technology effective immediately, and its business focus will shift from comprehensive new energy solutions to underlying technology research and development and patent licensing. The entire manufacturing sector will be divested and sold to Oceanwide Group. Someone raised their hand. It was Lao Lu, the former vice president in charge of production, President Zhao. If production is separated, what will happen to the hundreds of workers in the factory? Oceanwide will accept all of them, and their benefits will remain unchanged. Old Lu breathed a sigh of relief and sat down. Secondly, I continued, Beihing Technology will establish a dedicated technology research institute, with myself serving as its director. Over the next 3 years, 40% of the company's revenue will be invested in R&D, with the goal of adding at least 20 new core patents each year. People below began to whisper among themselves. Investing 40% of revenue in R&D is a unique percentage in the industry. Thirdly, I paused, looking at everyone present. All the shares held by Lin Wanqing and Zhou Yang have been wiped out, and the two no longer hold any positions in the company and have no connection with the company whatsoever. There was a 2-second silence in the meeting room, followed by applause. It was the CFO, Su Min, a woman in her 30s who had worked at the company for 5 years and was promoted by Lin Wanqing. She clapped her hands and said, "Mr. Zhao, you saved my life." Everyone looked at her. Su Min stood up, her eyes reddening. When the company's cash flow dried up last year, it was President Zhao who personally took out 20 million to pay the employees' salaries. President Lin told me not to say anything, but I saw it when I checked the accounts. President Zhao, I have always wanted to thank you in person. The meeting room fell silent again. Some people lowered their heads. Some looked out the window, and some sighed softly. I didn't say anything. It was indeed me who paid the 20 million. At the time, Lin Wanqing said the company was owed money by clients and couldn't pay salaries. I transferred the money without thinking much of it. Later I found out that Lin Wanqing was dating Zhou Yang at that time, and she had misappropriated part of the 20 million to buy stocks for Zhou Yang. I don't blame Su Min for speaking out so late. She's a smart woman. She knows when to say what. Su Min, I said, you are promoted to CFO of Beihing Technology starting today. Su Min paused for a moment, then bowed deeply. After the meeting ended, Qin Song caught up with me in the corridor. Mr. Zhao, there's something I need to tell you. Her expression was quite serious. What is it? The situation with Zhou Yang is a bit tricky. I stopped and looked at her. He signed the equity transfer agreement. But this morning, he sent a lawyer's letter claiming that the agreement was signed under duress and that it should be revoked. Qin Song said. He also said that Lin Wanqing's gift of 27% of the shares to him was a legally binding gift contract, and you cannot unilaterally deprive him of it. And then what? Then he said that you and Lin Wanqing are husband and wife, and the Shengheng shares you hold are joint property of the couple, and Lin Wanqing has the right to demand a share. I laughed and said, he's quite good at finding a starting point, but none of these constitute problems. Qin Song said, first, the gift contract has not been registered with the Industrial and Commercial Administration, so legally, the 27% of shares still belong to Lin Wanqing. Second, you and Lin Wanqing did not have a prenuptial agreement, but your patent is a premarital intellectual property and is not included in the scope of marital property. Third, Lin Wanqing has already transferred the shares to you, and she doesn't have a single share under her name now. So Zhou Yang can't find anyone to divide the shares with. Then what was his purpose in sending the lawyer's letter? He's stalling for time. Qin Song said. He's looking for a buyer to take over. Someone is backing him up and wants to take the opportunity to acquire Shengheng. No? Beiheng. I frowned. Who is it? It's still unclear. Qin Song said. But Zhou Yang has met with a lot of people these past 2 days, one of whom is someone we've been investigating for a long time, Zhao Mingyuan of CDH Capital. CDH Investments, China's largest hostile takeover fund, specializes in acquiring distressed companies and then dismantling and selling them. Its founder, Zhao Mingyuan, is known in the industry as a vulture of capital, leaving no survivors in his wake. Why did Zhao Mingyuan get involved? I asked. Because Beiheng's underlying technology is extremely valuable. Qin Song said, if Dinghui can acquire Beiheng and then break down and sell these patents, it can earn at least 3 to 5 times the profit. They can't do it. I said, the patent is in my hands, not in the company's. Even if they buy Beiheng, they still won't get my patent. Qin Song looked at me and suddenly laughed. President Zhao, when you kept the patent in your own hands, were you also guarding against this move? I did not reply, but an idea was forming in my mind. Since Zhou Yang wanted to play big, then I would play big with him. In the evening, I invited Chen Shanhe to dinner. It was the same restaurant as last time, and there were only the 2 of us in the private room. After listening to Zhou Yang and Ding Hui's story, Chun Shana picked up his wine glass and took a sip. I know Zhao Mingyuan well. He's a ruthless character, and also a greedy one. Once he sets his sights on his prey, he won't stop until he's torn off a piece of flesh. I know, I said, so I have a plan. Chen Shanha put down his wine glass. Tell me about it. Zhou Yang has no money. If he wants to cooperate with Dinghui, he has to use something as collateral. I said, the only thing he can use as collateral now is the things Lin Wanqing gave him back then, the house, the car, and some cash. What are your plans? I want to release some information. I said, claiming that Beiheng Technology's core technology is actually worthless, and that Oceanwide's licensing agreement is fake. Just a show to help me put on. Chun Shanha narrowed his eyes to slits. You want to lower Beiheng's valuation? That's right. I said, Zhao Mingyuan is a shrewd man. He won't buy a company with an inflated valuation. But if Beiheng's valuation drops to rock bottom, he will see it as a good opportunity to buy at the bottom and then buy a lot of shares. Next, I will show you the true valuation. I said, the shares that Zhao Mingyuan bought have all become troublesome. He wants to sell, but no one will take over. He wants to hold on, but he can't make money. He wants to exit, but he has to cut his losses. Chen Shanha looked at me, remained silent for a long while, and then burst into laughter. Zhao Bei, you're really ruthless. He slapped the table and laughed. You're trying to trap Zhao Mingyuan. If he wants to be a vulture, he should be prepared to be hunted by hunters. After laughing enough, Chun Shanha wiped away his tears and looked at me seriously. How confident are you in the success of this plan? 70%. What about the 30%? That 30% depends on whether Zhou Yang will betray us at a crucial moment. I said, he's not a very loyal person. He'll follow whoever gives him benefits. If Zhao Mingyuan doesn't give him enough benefits, he might switch sides. So what do you plan to do? Give Zhou Yang a better option. Chen Shanha raised an eyebrow. You want to win over Zhou Yang? It's not about winning him over. I said, it's about letting him choose for himself. All Zhao Mingyuan can give him is money. What I can give him is the chance to get out unscathed. This kid betrayed you, and you're still giving him a chance? Uncle Chun, I said, the business world is not like the martial arts world, where there is no talk of quick revenge. What I want is to maximize profits, not to drive people to the brink of despair. Chen Shana nodded, a new look appearing in his eyes, appreciation. Zhao Bei, you're better than your dad. He said, your dad was too sentimental back then, which is why he got screwed over by his business partner. You're different. You consider interests, but you also know how to keep things in check. My dad taught me that. I said, he said that in business, you can't ignore relationships, but you can't only focus on relationships. Chen Shanha raised his glass. Come on, toast to your dad. Respect to my dad. The two cups clinked together, making a crisp sound. Outside the window, Beijing's night view is as dazzling as a galaxy, with thousands of lights shining. And under each light, people are struggling for survival, for profit, and for dignity. But my war has only just begun. 6. 3 days after the news was released, the effect was even better than I had expected. Financial media outlets began reporting on the doubts surrounding the valuation of Beiheng Technology's core technology in all aspects. Some said that there were legal issues with the authorization agreement of Oceanwide Group. Some said that my 36 patents had actually been sued and invalidated by multiple companies. And others said that the whole incident was a fake play between me and Lin Wanqing, with the purpose of cashing out and leaving. There is falsehood among truth, and truth among falsehood. Public opinion is such an interesting thing. As long as there is even the slightest gap, a torrent will pour in on its own. Qin Song reports to me daily on Dinghui's progress. Zhao Mingyuan has personally met with Zhou Yang 3 times in Beijing, each time at a different hotel, and each time they stayed for at least 2 hours. Zhao Mingyuan is very cautious. Qin Song said on the phone. He's doing due diligence, checking the legal status of the patents, checking Oceanwide's licensing agreements, and checking your marital status with Lin Wanqing. He even hired a third-party valuation agency to do a valuation for Beiheng. Have the evaluation results been released? It's out that Beiheng's core technology assets are valued at between 800 million and 1.2 billion, which is half of the previous market estimate of 2 billion. Did Zhao Mingyuan believe it? He believed part of it. Qin Song said, he still wants to see you one more time. See me? Yes. He wants to talk to you in person. He feels there's more to this than meets the eye. He said, Zhao Bei isn't stupid. He wouldn't sell his core assets at a low price. I thought for a moment and said, tell him I'm not free this week. How about next week? I can meet him in Beihing's office at 3 p.m. next Wednesday. Qin Song hesitated for a moment. Are you sure you want to see him? Zhao Mingyuan is very good at getting information out of people. Let him get it out of him. I said, what he gets out of him is exactly what I want him to hear. Next Wednesday, at 2:50 p.m., I sat in the new office of Beihing Technology, gazing at the CBD outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. The weather was lovely today. Sunlight streamed through the glass curtain wall of the China World Trade Center Tower 3, reflecting a dazzling light. There was a knock on the door. The secretary let in a man around 50 years old, not tall, but with a powerful presence. He wore a custom-made dark gray suit, a Hermes tie, and Berluti shoes from head to toe. He exuded the 4 words, I'm expensive. Mr. Zhao, I've heard so much about you. Zhao Mingyuan came over and shook my hand. His smile was very professional, but his eyes were sharp. Mr. Zhao, please have a seat. Zhao Mingyuan sat down, and his secretary brought in 2 cups of coffee before leaving. Mr. Zhao, Zhao Mingyuan said bluntly, I'm here today to discuss a business deal with you. What kind of business? Dinghui wants to acquire Beihing Technology. Zhao Mingyuan said bluntly, you have 30% of the shares, plus the 36 patents you personally hold. I am willing to offer 1.5 billion. I smiled and said, Mr. Zhao, Beihing's current valuation is only 800 to 1.2 billion. Isn't it too much for you to offer 1.5 billion? Not much. Zhao Mingyuan took a sip of coffee. Because I know your patents are worth more than 1.2 billion. The ocean-wide licensing agreement is real, and your 36 patents haven't been challenged for invalidation. The information you released was deliberately to lower the valuation, waiting for me to take the bait. I looked at him without saying a word. Zhao Mingyuan put down his coffee cup, leaned forward, and his eyes shone with the excitement of a hunter spotting his prey. Mr. Zhao, you're quite clever. You deliberately spread rumors that Beihing is worthless, just to make me think it's a good opportunity to buy at the bottom. Then I buy in, and you reveal the real valuation, trapping me in the trap. And then I really got caught in the trap. Zhao Mingyuan laughed. If I were anyone else, this trick would definitely work. But I'm Zhao Mingyuan. I've been doing hostile takeovers for 20 years. I'm all too familiar with this kind of anti-routine approach. I picked up my coffee and took a slow sip. So, what does Mr. Zhao mean? What I mean is, Zhao Mingyuan said, we might as well cooperate. You don't need to use this method against me, and I don't need to fight with you. You license your patents to Dinghui, and I'll give you 200 million yuan in licensing fees every year, plus 1 billion yuan in signing fees. You can take the money and do whatever you want. You don't need to worry about Beihing Technology. Leave it to Dinghui to operate. To be honest, this offer is quite attractive, but I didn't take any action. Mr. Zhao, I said, do you know why I kicked Lin Wanqing and Zhou Yang out? Because they betrayed you. No, I said, because at the crucial moment, they chose interests over principles. Lin Wanqing felt I wasn't good enough for her, so she went to Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang felt Lin Wanqing could give him 27% of the shares, so he got together with her. Their relationship was, from beginning to end, an exchange of interests. Zhao Mingyuan narrowed his eyes. Mr. Zhao, I said, you came to me today to discuss cooperation, also out of self-interest. You believe my patents can help you make money, so you're willing to offer 1.5 billion. But what will you do if one day my patents become worthless? Zhao Mingyuan remained silent. You'll kick me aside like Lin Wanqing did. I said, so I won't cooperate with you. Zhao Mingyuan was silent for a few seconds, then smiled. Mr. Zhao, you're a wise man. I'm a wise person who has learned from my mistakes. Zhao Mingyuan stood up, straightened his suit, and extended his hand. Then we have nothing more to talk about. I stood up and shook hands with him. Mr. Zhao, I advise you to stay away from Zhou Yang. This man is not your partner. He's a ticking time bomb. Zhao Mingyuan smiled, said nothing, and turned to leave. After he left, Qin Song walked in from the monitoring room next door, holding a voice recorder. Did you record it all? I asked. It's all recorded, Qin Song said. Are you sure he'll fall for it? I'm not sure, I said, but I'm sure of one thing. Zhao Mingyuan will do something after he goes back today. He will go to Zhou Yang and ask Zhou Yang to take action to bring down Beihing from within. Qin Song frowned. Zhou Yang is no longer a member of Beihong. How could he bring it down from within? He can't, I said, but he knows people who can. I opened my phone, pulled up a list, and handed it to Qin Song. These 6 people were originally mid to high-level managers at Xing'an. They were all Zhou Yang's men. After Zhou Yang was ousted, these 6 people are still in the company. If Zhao Mingyuan intends to cause Beihong to collapse from within, he will use Zhou Yang to have these 6 people sabotage it. Qin Song glanced at the list, his expression changing. These people are all in key positions: production, procurement, sales, human resources. If they all cause trouble at the same time, Beihong will be immediately paralyzed. So, I said, we have to take action before they cause trouble. How should we take action? Pull the radish. I said, start with the bottom one. You investigate these 6 people for me. See if they have violated any regulations, accepted kickbacks, or leaked trade secrets. If even one of them has a problem, I have grounds to fire them all. Qin Song nodded and turned to leave. Wait a minute. I called out to her. Is there anything else? Make me an appointment with a lawyer. I said, a divorce lawyer. Qin Song was stunned for a moment. You want to divorce Lin Wanqing? That's right. I said, this has dragged on for too long. It's time to put an end to things between her and me. 7. The divorce is progressing more smoothly than I expected. Lin Wanqing didn't hire a lawyer and came to the Civil Affairs Bureau alone. She was wearing a white coat. Her hair was loose, and she wasn't wearing any makeup. She looked much thinner than when they last met, with prominent cheekbones and sunken eyes, making her look like a flower that was gradually withering away. The staff member looked us over and asked, "Are you sure you want a divorce?" "Okay," I replied. Lin Wanqing nodded without saying a word. We signed several forms. The staff stamped them and handed us 2 red books, divorce certificates. It's that simple. 6 years of marriage. Memories that hundreds of forms could not fill. Entanglements that dozens of stamps could not end. Ultimately turned into 2 red marriage certificates. One for each of them. As Lin Wanqing walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, she suddenly stopped. "Zhao Bei," she called out to me, her voice very weak. "Can I treat you to a meal?" I looked into her eyes, and there were no tears, no pleading, only a calmness I had never seen before. We went to a small restaurant near the Civil Affairs Bureau. It was a very ordinary restaurant with simple decor and a menu full of home-style dishes. Lin Wanqing ordered a bowl of noodles, and I ordered a rice bowl. While waiting for her food, she kept gazing out the window, seemingly lost in thought. "What are your plans for the future?" I asked. "I don't know," she said. "I can't go back to my parents' place. They think I've brought shame to the family. I've lost all my friends. The people who used to fawn over me don't answer my calls anymore. You still have 8 million left. Enough for you to live on for a while." 8 million. Lin Wanqing smiled, but it was a bitter smile. "Zhao Bei, do you know what I was doing yesterday? I was sending out resumes online. I sent them to more than 20 companies, and not a single one of them replied. Everyone in the industry knows about me," she said. "Nobody dares to hire me. They say I'm a typical example of betraying a partner, a negative example of losing more than I gain." The noodles were served. Lin Wanqing picked up her chopsticks, took a noodle, put it in her mouth, chewed it twice, and then put it down. "Can't you eat?" I asked. "I can't eat," she said. "I haven't eaten for 3 days, but I'm not hungry at all." I looked at her, feeling neither sympathy nor pleasure, only a very complex feeling, like an observer watching a tragedy that concerns me. "Zhao Bei," Lin Wanqing suddenly looked up. "Can you answer a question for me? You knew my plan from the beginning, didn't you?" "What plan?" "By being with Zhou Yang. They kicked you out of the board and swallowed your shares." Lin Wanqing said. "You knew this from the beginning, which is why you kept the patents in your hands and signed licensing agreements every year to leave yourself a way out." I paused for a few seconds, then said, "I didn't know you would be with Zhou Yang, but I was definitely prepared for this." "When did it start?" Lin Wanqing asked. "When did you start to distrust me?" I thought for a moment and said, 3 years ago, during the company's series of funding round." "Series A?" "Yes, during that round of financing. You secretly signed a performance-based agreement with the investors and even mortgaged 35% of my shares. If I hadn't discovered it in time, I would have lost all my shares when you lost the bet." Lin Wanqing's expression changed. "You think I don't know about this?" I said, "But I do. I started preparing from that day on." Lin Wanqing lowered her head. her shoulders trembling slightly. Zhao Bei. Her voice trembled. I really don't know how to face you. You don't need to face me anymore. I said, from today onwards. We have no relationship. Lin Wanqing suddenly raised her head, tears finally streaming down her face. No longer any relationship? Zhao Bei, we've been together for 6 years. 6 years. You're saying we're no longer any relationship? You said that first. I said, you said you weren't good enough for me. You said you felt annoyed every morning when you woke up and saw me. These weren't my words. They were yours. Lin Wanqing opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. She lowered her head, covered her face with her hands, and tears seeped through her fingers, falling drop by drop onto the table. I stood up, took out 100 yuan from my wallet, and put it on the table as payment for the meal. Lin Wanqing, I said, I hope you will be happy in the future, but I can no longer be with you. I turned and left. As I stepped out of the restaurant, the sun was slowly setting, bathing the entire street in an orange-red hue. I took a deep breath, feeling as if something had been drained from my chest, leaving it empty. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Qin Song, President Zhao. We found out the backgrounds of those 6 people. 3 of them are suspicious, and the evidence is conclusive. Should we take action now? I replied, let's get started. At 8 p.m., I returned to my apartment, turned on my computer, and saw the investigation report sent by Qin Song. There are 3 people with problems. The first is Sun Jiangwo, the purchasing director, who has received more than 4 million yuan in kickbacks over the past 3 years. The evidence includes bank statements, chat logs, and testimonies from intermediaries. The second is sales director Ma Wenlong, who leaked the company's customer information to competitors and received a kickback of 1.2 million yuan. Evidence includes email correspondence and transfer records. The third is Li Fong, the HR director, who falsely reported the number of employees to embezzle salary funds. The amount involved is 2.3 million yuan, and the evidence includes payroll records and bank statements. These 3 people were all Zhou Yang's subordinates. I picked up the phone and called Qin Song. Hold an all-staff meeting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I want to fire these 3 people in front of everyone and call the police. Mr. Zhao, should we talk to the legal department first? No need. I said, the evidence is conclusive. There's nothing to discuss. I want everyone to understand that in Beiyang, this is the consequence for anyone who dares to betray the company. Qin Song was silent for a moment. President Zhao, there's something I'm not sure if I should say. Zhou Yang's people told me that he has been looking for Lin Wanqing for the past 2 days, wanting her to testify that you had an extramarital affair, so as to overturn the equity transfer agreement. I sneered. Does he have any evidence? No, but he's making it up. He's hired a few tabloid reporters to fabricate a scandal between you and Su Min. Su Min, the CFO I just promoted. This person, I said, has absolutely no bottom line. Mr. Zhao, should I have someone warn him? No need. I said, let him make up whatever he wants. The more absurd it is, the better. Once he's finished his story, I'll expose him completely. You have something on him? When Zhou Yang was working in investment banking, he was involved in an insider trading case and was fined 2 million yuan by the China Securities Regulatory Commission. But he did not disclose it publicly. If I were to publicize this, he would never be able to establish himself in the financial industry for the rest of his life. Qin Song couldn't help but gasp. President Zhao, where did you get this information from? I've been investigating him from the very beginning. I said, I couldn't possibly not investigate someone who suddenly appeared next to my wife. Qin Song remained silent for a long time on the other end of the phone. Mr. Zhao, I have been a lawyer for 20 years and have seen many divorce cases, equity disputes, and business competition cases, but I have never seen a case like yours, where every step is meticulously planned and executed. Attorney Qin, I said, this is not wisdom, but a lesson. After being deceived once, you will understand one thing. In this world, the only person you can trust is yourself. After hanging up the phone, I went to the balcony and looked at the night view outside the window. My phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. When I answered, a familiar voice came from the other end. Zhao Bei, this is Zhou Yang. I remained silent for 3 seconds. I want to make a deal with you. Zhou Yang said, you let me go, and I'll tell you Zhao Mingyuan's entire plan. Speak. It's not convenient to say it over the phone. Zhou Yang said, Let's meet at the coffee shop on the East 4th Ring Road at 2 p.m. tomorrow. After hanging up the phone, I sent Qin Song a message. Zhou Yang asked me to meet him at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Please prepare a recording device and 2 people to wait for me outside the coffee shop. I looked at my phone screen and smiled slightly. Zhou Yang, do you still think you're a hunter? You were the prey long ago. 8. At 2 p.m. the following afternoon, I arrived at the coffee shop located on the East 4th Ring Road on time. The cafe is small and hidden in a small alley. Its decor is very artistic, with oil paintings hanging on the walls and a piano in the corner. Zhou Yang had already arrived and was sitting at the innermost table with a cup of Americano in front of him. He was dressed rather casually today, wearing a black hoodie, jeans, and sneakers, and his hair was unkempt, making him look like a completely different person. Brother Zhao. He stood up and extended a hand. Thank you for coming. I didn't hold his hand and just sat down. Zhou Yang didn't feel embarrassed. He withdrew his hand, sat back down, and took a sip of his coffee. Speak, I said. What is Zhao Mingyuan's plan? Zhou Yang put down his coffee cup, leaned forward, and lowered his voice. Zhao Mingyuan plans to acquire Beiyang, but he doesn't want to confront you directly. He's trying to undermine you from within, forcing you to give up on your own. How to dismantle it? He had me contact Sun Jiangwo, Ma Wenlong, and Li Feng, and instruct the three of them to sabotage the company. Sun Jiangwo was responsible for cutting off supplies, causing suppliers to stop supplying Beiyang. Ma Wenlong was responsible for poaching clients, diverting Beiyang's major clients to competitors. Li Feng was responsible for turning employees against the company, causing the core team to resign en masse. Is there anything else? Furthermore, Zhou Yang's voice lowered even further. Zhao Mingyuan has also contacted several of your company's investors, preparing to launch a vote of no confidence at the next shareholders' meeting to remove you from your position as chairman. Where did he get the shares from? He has quietly acquired 15% of Beiyang's shares through several nominee accounts. Zhou Yang said, including the other minority shareholders he can win over. He has at least 25% of the voting rights. Your shares are 30%. If he fails this time, he has a second step. He will sue your patent licensing agreement, claiming that your agreement with Panhai is a related party transaction that harms Beiyang's interests. I looked at him and asked, how do you know all this? Because Zhao Mingyuan asked me to carry out these tasks. Zhou Yang said with a wry smile. He still thinks I'm one of his people. Aren't you one of them? Brother Zhao. Zhou Yang looked at me, his eyes filled with a pleading expression. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have been with Wan Qing. Shouldn't have taken those 27% of the shares, and shouldn't have treated you like that at the board meeting. But I really have nowhere else to go. You have nowhere else to go? Zhao Mingyuan promised me 20 million yuan to do things for him. But I know he won't pay me after it's done. He'll use me as a scapegoat and pin all the blame on me. Zhou Yang's voice trembled. Brother Zhao, I don't want to go to jail. I know you have dirt on me. If that matter with the China Securities Regulatory Commission gets out, my life will be ruined. So you want to make a deal with me? Yes, Zhou Yang said. I'll help you deal with Zhao Mingyuan. And you'll let me go. How can I help? I can be your undercover agent. Zhou Yang said. I'll do whatever Zhao Mingyuan tells me to do. But I'll let you know in advance so you can be prepared. Once Zhao Mingyuan's plans all fall apart, he'll naturally give up. I stared at Zhou Yang for a long time. Zhou Yang, I said, do you know what I hate most? You're a two-faced person. I said, if you can betray Zhao Mingyuan today, you can betray me tomorrow. Why should I trust you? Zhou Yang's expression changed. However, I said, I do need you to do something for me. Take the exact same trick Zhao Mingyuan used to lure me into, and set up the same trap for him. Zhou Yang was taken aback. What do you mean? I want you to tell Zhao Mingyuan that I've taken the bait, that I've believed Sun Jiangwo and his gang's lies, and that I've let my guard down. Then, when he's at his most triumphant, I'll deliver the fatal blow. Zhou Yang's eyes lit up. Are you going to turn the tables on him? That's right. I said. Zhao Mingyuan wanted to be a vulture, so I told him to turn into a roast chicken. Zhou Yang took a deep breath and nodded. Brother Zhao, I'll help you. It's not about helping me. I said, it's about helping yourself. After this is over, take your 20 million, leave Beijing, and never show your face in front of me again. I stood up, ready to leave. Brother Zhao, Zhou Yang suddenly called out to me, his voice very soft. Can I ask you a question? Don't you really hate me? I thought for a moment and said, hate. But hate won't solve the problem. It will only ruin you. As I stepped out of the cafe, the sun was shining brightly, casting long shadows into the alley. Chin Song's car was parked at the alley entrance. She rolled down the window and looked at me. How did the talk go? He was willing to go undercover. Chin Song raised an eyebrow. You believe him? I don't believe you. I said, but I need him. In business, there are no permanent friends or enemies, only permanent interests. Mr. Zhao, you're starting to resemble Chairman Chen more and more. Uncle Chen? Yes, Chin Song said. That's his style too. He doesn't care about feelings, only about interests. I got into the car and closed the door. Attorney Chin, I said, please arrange a dinner appointment with Zhao Mingyuan for me next Monday evening at 7 p.m. at the Grand Hyatt Hotel in Guamao. I want to treat him to dinner. Chin Song was taken aback. You're going to invite him to dinner? Yes, I said. I want to deliver a fatal blow when he's at his most triumphant. Are you sure he'll come? He'll definitely come, I said, because he thinks I've already taken the bait. Next Monday, 6:50 p.m. I arrived at the Grand Hyatt Hotel's restaurant early, reserved a private room, ordered dishes, and poured 2 glasses of wine. At 7 o'clock sharp, Zhao Mingyuan arrived on time. He was wearing a dark blue suit and a gold tie today, and he looked radiant, as if he had just closed a big deal. Mr. Zhao, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. He sat down with a smile, picked up his wine glass, and said, what brings you to dinner today? I'd like to talk to Mr. Zhao about a potential collaboration. Zhao Mingyuan narrowed his eyes. Cooperate? Didn't you say you wouldn't cooperate last time? Last time is last time. I said, this time I figured it out. Instead of fighting with President Zhao, I should cooperate with him. Zhao Mingyuan laughed. A hearty laugh. Mr. Zhao, it's good that you figured it out. Come on, let's have a drink. We clinked glasses. Zhao Mingyuan put down his glass, leaned back in his chair, and crossed his legs. Mr. Zhao, tell me your terms. My condition is, I said, that Ding Hui will provide 2 billion yuan to buy all the shares of Beiheng Technology, including 36 patents that I personally hold. After the acquisition, I will leave Beiheng and no longer participate in any business activities. Zhao Mingyuan's eyes lit up. 2 billion? Are you sure? Okay, I said, but I have one condition. What are the conditions? Zhao Mingyuan himself is permanently banned from entering the new energy industry. Zhao Mingyuan's smile froze. Mr. Zhao, what do you mean by this? What I mean is, I said, if you acquire Beiheng, I will withdraw, but you are not allowed to use Beiheng's technology to make a profit. Otherwise, I will sue you for patent infringement and seek 10 billion in damages. Zhao Mingyuan's face darkened. Zhao Bei, are you trying to fool me? I'm not kidding you. I said, I'm serious. You want Beiheng, and I'll give it to you. But you need to understand that the Beiheng you get is an empty shell without any core technology. Because there's a clause in my patent licensing agreement that says if Beiheng is acquired by CDH Investments, the licensing agreement will automatically terminate. Zhao Mingyuan suddenly stood up, his face ashen. You've been plotting against me from the very beginning? You schemed against me? I laughed. President Zhao, you schemed against me first. You had Zhou Yang sabotage things internally. You had Sun Jiangwo stop the supply. You had Ma Wenlong poach clients. And you had Li Fang turn employees against you. Do you think I didn't know? Zhao Mingyuan's expression changed. I also know, I continued, that you bought 15% of Beiheng's shares through a nominee account, and that you plan to remove me at the shareholders' meeting. I have evidence of everything you've done. I took out my phone, opened a document, and placed it on the table. Zhao Mingyuan glanced down, and his pupils suddenly contracted. It contained detailed information about all his nominee accounts, including account names, number of shares held, and sources of funds, all clearly listed. This is impossible. Zhao Mingyuan's voice changed. How could you possibly have obtained this data? Because of Zhou Yang. Zhao Mingyuan's face turned completely pale. Zhou Yang is your man. He looked at me incredulously. No, I said. He is neither mine nor yours. He is only loyal to his own interests, and I can give him more benefits than you can. Zhao Mingyuan took 2 steps back, bumped into a chair, and almost fell over. Zhao Bei. His voice was hoarse. What exactly do you want? I want to tell you a lesson. I said, in this world, no one can be a hunter forever. If you can eat someone today, someone can eat you tomorrow. I stood up, picked up my wine glass, and drank the rest of the wine in one gulp. Mr. Zhao, this meal is on me. Please enjoy your meal. As I reached the door of the private room, I paused without turning around. By the way, Mr. Zhao, your 15% stake in Beiheng shares is now a hot potato. Nobody will take it. Your only way out is to sell it to me at the original price. How much do you want to pay? 50% off. Zhao Mingyuan remained silent. I pushed open the door and went out. The corridor was long and brightly lit. In the empty corridor, my footsteps echoed softly, each step steady and powerful, each step unwavering. The phone suddenly vibrated. It was a message from Qin Song. Zhao Mingyuan just called Zhou Yang and berated him for a full 10 minutes. I replied, please thank Zhou Yang for me and tell him that I will definitely transfer his 20 million to him. You don't hate him anymore? Hate. But hate can't solve anything. I typed on the keyboard. Solve the problem and the hate will naturally disappear. 9. 1 month later, Beiheng Technology successfully completed its restructuring, and I repurchased all 15% of the shares held by Zhao Mingyuan at half price. Sun Zhengwo, Ma Wenlong, and Li Fong were dismissed from the company and transferred to judicial authorities. All the funds involved in the case were recovered. Zhou Yang left Beijing with 20 million yuan, and his whereabouts are unknown. Lin Wanqing also left Beijing. Before she left, she sent me a message with only one sentence. I stared at the message for a long time without replying. Then I deleted it, as if erasing a piece of the past. Today marks the 7th anniversary of Beiheng Technology. The company held a celebration at the Beijing Hotel, inviting all employees, customers, and partners. I stood on the stage, looking at the hundreds of people below, and took a deep breath. Gentlemen, I said, today I would like to tell you a story. The audience fell silent. 7 years ago, my ex-wife and I founded Shungheng Group. At that time, we had nothing but a few patents and a dream. In 7 years, the company has grown from 3 people to 300 people, from a rented house to a 3-story office building, and from nothing to a valuation of 2 billion. Then, at a board meeting this October, my ex-wife said something to me in front of everyone. She said, "You don't deserve it." Someone in the audience gasped. She said I didn't deserve to sit in that position, didn't deserve to hold those shares, and didn't deserve to be the founder of the company. She gave 27% of the shares to her lover and wanted to drive me out of the company. The entire banquet hall was as quiet as a cemetery. I didn't say anything at the time. I smiled slightly, because I'm not good at arguing. I'm good at getting things done. That night, I licensed 36 core patents to Oceanwide Group and terminated all of Shungheng's licenses. 3 days later, Shungheng's stock price plummeted by 34%. A week later, Shungheng was renamed Beiheng Technology, and I became the largest shareholder. A month later, my ex-wife signed the divorce agreement, took 8 million, and left the company. A few people in the audience started clapping, then more and more, until it turned into thunderous applause. I raised my hand to signal everyone to be quiet. I'm telling this story not to boast, nor for revenge. I looked at the audience. I want to tell you all a lesson. In this world, no one has the right to say you are unworthy. You are not worthy to be her husband. You are not worthy to be a shareholder in the company. You are not worthy to own those things. These are all labels that others have put on you. But these labels don't matter. What matters is what you believe in yourself. I believe my technology has value, so I've held on to it tightly for 7 years. I believe my judgment is correct, so I didn't give up during the most difficult times. I believe justice will prevail, so I didn't resort to any despicable means to retaliate. I simply took back what was rightfully mine in my own way. I paused for a moment. Today, Beiheng Technology is valued at 3 billion yuan. We have licensed our technology to 37 companies, covering 60% of the national new energy market. Our research institute has 68 PhDs, and we add more than 30 new patents every year. We have accomplished what Shungheng couldn't do in 7 years. And this is just the beginning. Applause erupted again from the audience, this time even more enthusiastic and longer than before. I took a step back and bowed deeply. After the celebration ended, I stood alone on the hotel rooftop, gazing at the night view of Beijing. Chen Shanha walked over and handed me a cigar. Want one? I don't smoke. Then have one with me. Chen Shanha lit a cigar, took a puff, and exhaled a cloud of white smoke. Zhao Bei, your speech today was amazing. The people below were practically staring wide-eyed. I was just stating the facts. The truth can be the most hurtful sometimes. Chinchana said, "Did you know Lin Wanqing came today?" I was taken aback. "She's here?" "She was sitting in the last row, wearing a hat. She left halfway through your speech. She was crying the whole time she left." I remained silent for a long time. "Uncle Chun," I said, "do you think I did something wrong?" Chinchana glanced at me and flicked his cigarette ash. "What did you do wrong?" "She betrayed you first, and you were just retaliating. In the business world, that's called self-defense. But she is my ex-wife." "Your ex-wife is something that's in the past." Chen Shanha patted my shoulder. "Zhao Bei, you can't go easy on her just because she's your ex-wife." "Did she go easy on you?" "No." "That's right." Chen Shanha took a puff of his cigar. "Don't overthink it. You've already won. And won spectacularly." I gazed at the China World Trade Center Tower 3 in the distance, its lights shining brightly, as if illuminating the path for every hardworking person in this city. "Uncle Chun," I said, "do you think I deserve all of this?" Chen Shanha turned to look at me, his eyes serious. "Zhao Bei, in this world, no one is more deserving than you." I laughed. My phone vibrated. It was a text message from an unknown number. "Zhao Bei, this is Zhou Yang. I've arrived in Singapore. Thank you for letting me go. I want to tell you something. The reason Lin Wanqing transferred 27% of her shares to me wasn't because of my abilities, but because I had something she wanted. She wanted a child. She became infertile 3 years ago, and she wanted me to help her find a surrogate mother. She never told you this secret." My hands were trembling as I looked at the text message. "Child. 3 years ago, after Lin Wanqing suffered a miscarriage, the doctor said her uterus was damaged and it would be difficult for her to conceive again. I thought she had accepted this fact, but I never expected her to use it as a reason to betray me." I pressed the delete key, and a message popped up on the screen asking delete this information. I hesitated for 3 seconds. Then I clicked yes. What good is knowing some secrets? What's meant to end has ended. What's meant to begin has begun. I put my phone back in my pocket and looked up at the night sky. In the winter night sky of Beijing, few stars can be seen, but I know that behind those clouds, countless stars are shining, just like everyone in this city who strives to live their lives. They may not see the light for the time being, but they themselves are the light. I turned around and walked down from the rooftop. Behind me, Chen Shanha was still puffing out smoke, the swirling smoke gradually dissipating in the night wind, as if bidding farewell to the past, or as if joyfully welcoming tomorrow. The moment I stepped into the banquet hall, everyone stood up and turned their eyes to me. Applause erupted again, as if it were an overwhelming wave. I stepped onto the stage, gently picked up the microphone, and uttered my final words of the evening. "Thank you all. I am Zhao Bei, and I deserve all of this today."